Hello everyone, GalacticStorm here, welcome to the show, and today we are going to be doing our R-Type Final 2 Stage Guide, Episode 2. Today, instead of going against spacecraft, we are going to be going against a whole bunch of vital creatures. In this point, Stage 2 has been anonymous for being a creature-like stage, and this stage is no different. So without further ado, let's jump right in. So the second stage is, again, like I mentioned, a creature-like stage. But instead of just being OP creatures, it is going to be plants. So right off the bat, you are going to be introduced by some sprouts that are going to be on the ground. They won't be as any trouble, but they will play a huge part with the boss. But they won't do anything, but they will be nothing more than a hindrance. There will also be plant-like Rebel that are going to be orbiting around right up on the top right of the screen. And depending on the difficulty, you might have a few, if not none, or a whole lot. So just like all the other times, just shoot them down. Also, right off the bat, you're going to be introduced by these large, big-ass flower-like Bido. Now, these flowers, they'll be firing out this heat-seeking pollen that you can destroy with your force, guns, and with your bits. But these things have a lot of health, and they'll be covering up the bottom part of the plant itself, the flower. And the bottom of the flower is the weakness. So if you shoot it as much as you could up on the top, it'll cover the petals and then it'll still shoot the plant, or these pollens, I mean. But the bottom has a lot of health, and you would have to honestly lunge your force onto the bottom of the plant. So that way you can finish them off much more quickly. And try not to fire your wave cannon, because it's going to waste a lot of time and it'll just go back to its normal position. You also get a whole bunch of yellow and blue crystals, which will be helpful depending on your craft. At the bottom of that crevice, you're going to have surges coming from that, from the crevice, and they're going to move their way up onto the middle of the screen. Afterwards, when the surges are gone, you are going to be introduced by a whole bunch of pollen that's going to be coming out of there, depending on the difficulty. And then afterwards, you're also going to be introduced by colonists. These creatures, they deploy bugs, and they're very similar to the pollen, so you can kill them pretty easily. And thankfully, they have less health, so you can take them out just as efficiently with your blue crystal lasers, or just use your wave cannon or force. After killing more sprouts, you're going to be introduced to another big-ass flower, destroyed as mentioned earlier. And then you're going to be introduced by another crevice from above, and one on the bottom right, which you're going to be going towards. You're going to have more pulses coming your way, and then some walking turrets. Then afterwards, depending on the difficulty, you're also going to be introduced by some cancers. These things are hovering fighters, and will be taken down within one hit, but they are mainstream within the series. Depending on the difficulty too, you're going to be having these pollens, the pollens, and you're going to have some flies coming from the upward crevice. And even in other difficulties, you are going to have cancers from behind. But there's also going to be a hard part coming in depending on the difficulty. You're going to have more colonists and more flowers coming in when you get out of that crevice within the bottom right. From my advice, unleash your force and just start shooting like upwards or backwards, or just try to put it up in the backwards or on your ship. And then try to destroy the flowers as best you can with your force. Just do be warned, there's going to be a lot of pollen and flies going around, so it's going to be a messy situation. And then afterwards, you're going to be introduced to some more pulses that are coming down, and you're going to be introduced to another set of pipes. They're going to unleash pollen, and they're going to be unleashing some flies too, along with a POW armor that's going to give you a blue crystal. That will be another checkpoint, and it's all going to be happening within just a short amount of time. Now, depending on the difficulty, this can be another very tough fight. When this comes around, you're going to have more colonists coming from the bottom, and then on top you're going to have another big ass flower that's going to be coming your way. But at this point, it's going to be a whole bunch of chaos, and you're going to have some colonists and flowers that are going to be coming from the top and bottom, along with sprouts and those plant-like revos. It's all going to be happening within a short space of time, but you are going to be having a tight space. So you do have to take them out one by one and try to be patient and just try not to freak out. But afterwards, you're going to be introduced to your last checkpoint, which a colonist will be protecting the entrance of a door. Afterwards, there's going to be a whole bunch of sprouts that are going to be inside that room, and I highly suggest you take care of them. Before then, you're going to be introduced to another blue crystal, and then once you go inside the room, you're going to have a yellow crystal, and depending on what craft you have, I would either to go against it or just use it. And then I'm going to introduce our boss. So the stage was pretty short, but the boss is pretty long. You get 2 of these containers that you have to face as your boss, and while they are the size of your ship, they have a lot of health. Their main weakness is this blue core that's going to be happening or appearing within the front or back of the ship. They are going to be introducing themselves within these 2 doors right in front of you. So depending on what difficulty in that, their attacks, well, they can be different. On the easier ones, there's going to be one container that's going to be introducing itself and going to be moving all throughout the map and firing this yellow projectile. While it's destructible, if it hits like the ground in that or in the middle, it'll introduce those sprouts that you've been seeing all throughout the stage. And depending on the difficulty, it'll move either faster or fire a lot more. So that could be a pain in the ass. Afterwards, once it reaches through the door, both of them are going to introduce each other and have its own different movement patterns in that. And depending on your wave cannon and your force, you could easily just latch your force onto the core and just shoot them down, or just use your wave cannon. With the shooting star, for example, with here, I can go up above the container and do damage. The more damage that you do to the containers, the more that these things are going to smoke. And depending on how much you do in that, well, they'll just keep on smoking more, and then I'll just show you what happens when you destroy one of them. Once you destroy one of the containers and the other one goes into its room, well, the whole room will brighten up. At this point, the container will go faster and fire more sprouts. Just keep on doing what you did earlier, and then this boss will be easily destroyed. Just do be warned, it's going to take a while depending on how much health it has. This is probably one of my favorite bosses within R-Type Final 2, just because of the movement pattern and from the nostalgia. Afterwards, it's up to stage 3. Thank you all very much for watching, and I'll see you all later.